Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm talking about some really cool new cards revealed, including two cards or one card that are some of my favorite designs ever, at least conceptually. I think it's just a really clever, essentially, solution to some cards I've had major issues with in the past, including one that's not even out yet. There's a card that I didn't really that I don't like the design of. That is a card that is coming out soon. Actually, I believe in the same set in internationally. These cards are all from Supercharged Breaker, I believe, or yeah, which is the Japanese set releasing on October 18th, which is actually like pretty soon. So that's really cool. And then it's going to be part of Surging Sparks, the international set, which will also feature Paradise Dragana and I believe Cyrilla GX and Armor GX as well. So it's going to be a really, really cool set with some really interesting Pokemon. It's pretty much the exact opposite of Stellar Crown, not in terms of power. Stellar Crown, I think, was a very strong expansion, in my opinion. And based on like the meta game, I think you can like kind of see that. But Stellar Crown was highlighted by a lot of really powerful trainers supporting Pokemon and the best attackers like Colorless, which is kind of underwhelming. Even though it does have a weird attack cost that attack's not really used. So Super Charge Breaker and Surging Sparks though. You got the Pikachu EX, which is really it's a really interesting card with a lot of different like thing. I mean, it's got that weird energy cost, but that's the only attack, though it is arguably going to be a stall card. And then there's just some like really crazy Pokemon in the set that are really fun. Cyrilla EX is going to be good. Has been doing quite well in Japan, and there's the Archaludon EX, which is really cool, and there's some like really interesting stellars, including one we'll take a look at. But Alolan Diglett and Dugtrio. Alolan Diglett here does 30 for free on a coin flip. I don't remember how many free attacks we've been seeing recently. We see them on baby Pokemon, and so that's like a thing, but I feel like they're not that common on like regular Pokemon. Um, I mean, I know they're not that common, but I can't think of the last time I've seen one. It could just be like forgetting some. They could be like some that are good that I'm forgetting, but normally they're on like baby Pokemon. But here we got or on Alolan Pokemon. And we don't see a lot of Alolan Pokemon either, because the this isn't the Alola region, but we are seeing some here with Alolan Diglett. So and Dugtrio, of course, the more interesting card here. The Diglett is not very interesting, but that we have Alolan Dugtrio here with its attack triple bingo. Also, sorry if my voice is a little off, or I'm a little off. I am a little under the weather today. Not like super sick. I was like I was pretty sick for like a few days, but I am a little bit better certainly. But yeah. Anyways, so we got this like. I mean, I feel like a Alolan Dugtrio. It's a very goofy Pokemon, but it's a fun one. And this attack is that reflected perfectly. It does 120 for free if you have exactly three cards in hand. Um, yeah, so this is weird. It says if you do not have exactly three cards in hand, it does nothing. Which I don't know why like Pokemon is doing all these double negatives. These are translations, but presumably it'll like actually say that. Pokebeach is, I don't know exactly how good Pokebeach is at translating the effect of the attack or like the wording of the attack name, but or the attack like text. But anyways, this is like this is okay. I mean, it's not like that hard to fulfill to get three cards in hand. It's not like you'll be like short of that often. I mean, you could be, but you don't need an energy either. So like playing an energy is gonna thin your hand or clog your hand. I don't know if you like. I don't know. This just isn't that good though. In terms of the amount of damage you're doing. 120 is not like terrible, but it's not, something that you're going to be sitting here saying like, I really want to do 120 damage. It's not bad, as I said, but it's not quite good enough. I feel like this would definitely be better if it was like one energy and it was hitting like 160, 170. So it would be like two-shotting Charizard EX or something. Then it could like compete with, you know, the top decks to some degree. I mean, not like really, but at least like kind of try. Like if you just play against Charizard EX, obviously it's not like going to go well, but it's not going to go well because they're just gonna like one shot you and you're gonna three shot them, and that's not great. So it's definitely like not quite enough damage, unfortunately. It's like a fun card, um, but yeah, it's not a card that I expect to see any competitive play. Um, who knows? Maybe we'll get like another Alolan Doug trio like line, and then it'll be good. But so far nothing super spectacular there. Then we have Palisand EX from Supercharged Breaker, and Sandygast here is absolutely lovely. No, that's fine. This art's kind of weird. Anyways, you have the Sandygast does do 50 for 3 colorless, which like I don't know. That's like not that good, but maybe something weird to come up and that becomes useful. Also 3 retreat, which is, not the best. Also 90 HP, that's also not very good because you want to be Blood Ready, Puff, and Searchable. But anyways, Palisand DX here has 280 HP and has 2 different attacks here. And you have Sand Tomb, which does 160 for 3 colors, and the defending Pokemon cannot retreat during your opponent's next turn. That is obviously like it's solid. For like you trap something and then you like two shot them. It's not that good though, right? It's like there are attacks that are like trapping attacks, and there's like Snorlax and stuff, and that's like really powerful. But also, this is not that, right? And it's expensive. It's not completely terrible, but it's also definitely not that good. But then you have the second attack here, which is Barrite Jail for Water Psychic Fighting. And of course, this is a Stellar Pokemon. It is a Terra Pokemon, but it is a Stellar. This is the Stellar attack. And it says put damage counters on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon until its remaining HP is 100. That is pretty solid. Okay, I want to complain about the Stellars some more. I've done this why are all the Stellar attacks like super similar? There've been like so I said why in with Stellar Crown, where 3 out of the 4 Stellars did they do the same amount of damage? That seemed like kind of with their Stellar attacks. Not the other attacks. The other attacks and like parts of the Stellar Pokemon are really cool. Like Trapagos EX is a unique attacker with its like weird restriction, which we don't see, and is like a good card and is interesting to play. And Lapras CX is other like the Stellar Attack on Lapras CX is like the cool part. It's not a very good card, but it's a cool card. And then the Galvantula EX, I guess the Stellar Attack's meaningful there, but arguably the first attack's better. And um, then Cinderace EX, the first attack's probably better. I mean, it does 100 more damage, right? And it's way easier to pay. But I'm looking here. I got pulled up in like not on here, but on my phone, I got the Dragon EX, which is also a spread attacker, and I feel like there've been a few others. Um, there's Sylveon EX, but that's like not really the same thing. But then the Flygon EX is also like kind of similar. Admittedly, they do have synergy. This says it does 100 to each of your points, Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. So it's like I don't know. It's like kind of synergistic with this, but I mean you're not doing that, right? It's attack cost. What is its attack cost? It is water fighting metal. Okay, so that's like not completely different. You could like try to do something there, but that seems pretty bad to be honest. But yeah, definitely like a moderately interesting attack. Definitely would, as I said, like a bit more if it was, not if it was a bit more differentiated from some of the other, stellars, but definitely solid. I mean, it does a lot of damage. Theoretically, this could be doing not actual damage, but damage counters could be hitting like I'm trying to think like. I mean, I guess you could be like in an absurd situation where they have like Area Zero underdepths and like Miraidon and you hit for like 800, which is like a lot, but also it doesn't like mean anything on like you just need to do it on like 3. But it is like solid. You need some like strong finisher. Could pair this with Worst to give Mimikyu. That's a really fun card. It's not the best. But Barry Jail is definitely a what's it called? Jail. Anyways, it's definitely a cool attack here. Not sure if it'll be. Also, it's damage counters, which is really important, and not damage, which is really crucial for the Terra Pokemon. The Terra EXs, which are going to be on your opponent's bench, like Teal'c Ogerpon EX, which is obviously a very common card, played in high counts, and so you can put damage counters on them. But then you need your finisher, assuming you're trying to go for some like spread attack finisher. Your spread attack finisher also needs to be damage counters, because if it's not damage counters, then you can't finish them off. So that's something to consider. I don't think Palossand EX is particularly great. The attack is definitely awkward to pay, though not unpayable. I mean, the fighting isn't really something you can accelerate. I feel like, is there like a fighting Sandygast? I don't remember if there's one of those in standard. I think there is. Yeah, I think there is. So you could do like um, Gutsy Pickaxe to Sandygast. That seems like completely terrible though, not gonna lie. And then there's like Xadu. I feel like Xadu is probably what you're looking at. You could do Gardevoir EX, but you need to like tech that in. You could do Gardevoir EX Excalibur. That sounds really bad, but there are definitely things you can do to get this paid. Um, it could be really good, but your opponent could like, I don't know. There are definitely a lot of ways when this can go wrong. Your opponent doesn't play that many bench Pokemon. Your opponent decides that they just want to like they're not playing a deck where they're playing a single prize deck, or they play Mist Energy, or maybe they play like their Pokemon into regular damage and your finisher can't do them. I don't know. It just seems like kind of sketchy, like a lot of the other Stellars. I think it's kind of comparable comparable to Galvantula EX, because maybe that's like not a good comparison, but they're like awkward because it's awkward to get set up in the first place, and then it's awkward to go to that next step. Palossand EX's next step is going to be, I don't know what the next step is, but it's some like big spread attacker presumably, versus Galvantula EX's next step is to like redo the entire thing again. So it's like steep cost initially and stays steep the whole time. So like an interesting card, nothing super crazy here. Then we got Amulet of Hope. This is an A-Spec tool, and if the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. It's of course a tool, and so it stays attached, but it can get lost vacuumed, and it is an A-Spec, so you can only have one copy of any A-Spec in your deck. And of course, the best A-Spec in the game is Prime Catcher. You need to immediately look and say, like, is this better than Prime Catcher? Like, oh, well, that's not exactly what you need to say. That is something that could be the first thing to say. But it is pretty solid, right? It seems pretty strong. If it just said search for any 3 cards and it was like an item, that would be insane. Computer search was an A-Spec that let you search for 1 card, discarded 2 from your hand. It was insane. Admittedly, A-Specs like were a little different. I would say I really do believe that Secret Box as an A-Spec is pretty similar to computer search. Like computer search is really good. It definitely depends on context, and in a lot of things. Secret Box you need to like kind of go out of your way more to get value out of, but in terms of the value that it's providing, it is similar value. Unless of course you need just like a special energy, maybe a Pokemon, but you can probably just get that off the item, though then you are using the item for that. But so those are like really good. They're really like explosive. I will say also that Secret Box like and computer search like they're very turbo-y. Secret Box specifically, computer search doesn't need to be as turbo-y, but Secret Box is really designed to be a turbo-y A-Spec, and that's not very good for standard right now. But well, there are good turbo decks, and they do sometimes play Secret Box. But yeah, Prime Catcher is really good for those decks as well. But this is like definitely a slower tool, like a setup-based tool. Of course, my big issue with this is it could get lost vacuumed, and then it's like, now what, right? So I feel like if this does trigger, it can set you up. But also, like, if you're already set up, if you're in like an okay position, you don't really get a ton of value. Like, you get okay value off of getting 3 cards, but it's not insane, right? Like, there are turns in your game where, I mean, certainly you'd always take 3 cards from your deck that you choose, but you probably don't need all 3 just on random turns, right? So then you can say, oh, well, I'll make a deck where I can get really good value out of this. But then what happens if it gets lost vacuumed, right? So I feel like it's okay. And Lost Vacuum will be leaving the format as well after this card comes out, but I feel like there's going to be some tool counter as well. Well, there is Jamming Tower as well, right? Jamming Tower is maybe the tool counter that Pokemon wants as like the main tool counter. It's a card that sees some play, but it's not like a meta-defining card. I feel like Lost Vacuum is kind of meta-defining. Maybe it's not meta-defining, but I feel like a lot of decks play it. But this is not an ace spec I'm a big fan of. I mean, it's like kind of cool. Um, Also, like your opponent could knock you out through an effect of an attack, which would be like unfortunate for you. And then this would not trigger. That would be from like damage counters or instant knockouts or I mean, if you got knocked out through burn or poison or even confusion, well, that wouldn't be yeah, that no, that would like meet the requirement. I mean, it's not from they're not from attacks, and then they're certainly not like regular damage. So that would not count. That could be inflicted by your opponent's Pokemon, but it doesn't need to say like during their turn. Um, Presumably that would like have to happen, but that's what I was looking about because special conditions are in between turns. But yeah, Amulet of Hope, I don't know. I don't have too much hope for it. It's not like a completely terrible ace spec, and there might be some people who really like it, but I don't think it's that good. Then we lastly have the cards I'm really excited for. We got Meowstic, Esper, which has the attack that your opponent reveals in their hand, and then does 20 for 2, which is fine, and Relaxing Teaser. So we got Relaxing Teaser, which says you can only use this if you go second and on your first turn, put an energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon into their hand. Let's assume you're playing 4 of this. You'll be playing 4 of it, and as you'll see in just a moment. Um, Maybe not. You could just tech this as a one of as well, right? But you get it, and you play. If you play multiple, that's like really annoying for your opponent. I feel like you usually won't be able to play multiple, and if you can, then it's probably because they're playing Teal Mass Ogerpon EX, and then you're just like putting energies back to the hand, which they just like attach again. Theoretically, it could cause issues for them, like if you're playing, um, really only if you're playing the well, if you return the fire energy from Regidrago, that could be it, like cause an issue. And then with the energy switch, they could cause issues, but it's less likely, I feel like. But then you have situations where, like, with Raging Bull Ogre opponents, like, what are you doing here? Right? You're not really sending them back much. So, well, I mean, those like examples are kind of terrible as well because they'll be choosing to go second. I guess you will be too, but I feel like this isn't like a super like strong card. There's the other item Helper Bell, which is like kind of similar, where you can only use it turn one going second. And then there's also like Squawkabilly EX, which you can only use turn one. But it does have like value. Squawkabilly EX is I think a really well designed card. I've liked it a lot. It's been good, but it is a pretty serious liability. It's also not a card that feels like unfun to play against, I feel like I'm never like, oh man, I can't believe my opponent's playing Squawkabilly EX. I mean, it's like, oh wow, they're drawing out of their hand, but like, I don't know, that like feels fair. I feel like I don't know, I feel like it just feels like a fair card versus like if your opponent's like I'm not annoyed. Like if my opponent like bosses per game, like on their like one card, I don't know, I'm like annoyed, but um. Yeah, I feel like Squawkabilly EX isn't an annoying card. It could be annoying to play with, but you get high value out of it. So, Relaxing Teaser though is a card that has like mediocre value. But if your opponent is playing like Dragapult, this could be strong. Well, they have the Sparkling Crystal card though, so it's less meaningful now. I feel like there aren't too many decks that just manually attach a lot. Um, that also need multiple energies. If there are decks like that, this is a pretty solid card in its own right. But then we have Meowstic here with its ability Tempting Tail. You must discard a Relaxing Teaser from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active. That's really strong. Obviously, that's like an insane ability. You need to discard a specific item, which is now doing nothing, right? If Meowstic is in play, you can't play Relaxing Teaser, right? That's just not possible in standard. I don't think you can't Salvatore. You could TM Evolution, but then your turn would be done. Like you can't play Relaxing Teaser when Meowstic's in play because it'll be hit the board once you've attacked, and there are other attacks like that as well. I'm sure, but yeah, I think this is interesting. So it's this like dead item just to trigger this ability, which is pretty cool. I don't really mind. It might be cooler to make it like a more useful item, but I do like this design a ton. And it is very strong. Gusting in the Pokemon TCG is obviously one of the most like crucial things. I feel like the Pokemon most similar to this would be Weavile. Like in terms of gusting, there's three cards that people use, maybe four. There's Boss's Orders, Prime Catcher, then the other catchers, Counter Catcher, and then there is Pokemon Catcher. I feel like that's like played less than the others, but it's definitely a pretty meaningful card. But yeah, I mean, like those are the forms of gusting that people are using, but this is now a form of gusting that's Pokemon gusting. I mean, just like item gusting kind of because you're like playing this item, or you're not playing it, you're like discarding it from your hand, which is just like playing it. So you can't use this like multiple times during your turn. I mean, you could use multiple Meow Sticks, but you don't want to do that. I don't think there is. Oh, no, is there another Meow Stick? There is. There's the one from I don't remember the set. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't remember what it is. But there is another Meow Stick. That one is from, or what set is it? It's from. It is Silver Tempest. I was gonna say it might be Silver Tempest, but it is. When you play it, you can search for two supporters, reveal and put them into your hands. I have the same critiques as I had about the a spec item that was kind of like Versus Seeker, where like you don't need two supporters, but you do have Meowstic here, which will allow you to that other Meowstic, which is like a playable card, so you could just play like one of this Meowstic and then that other one, and then like two of the basics or something if you want to, which is not a completely terrible idea. But yeah, I think this Meowstic is a really cool card to add consistent gusting, allowing you to gust and also play a support on the same turn. Um, which means that you're not relying on boss orders, which is a really cool thing. Boss orders is a card that is very defining in the Pokemon TCG right now. It is one of the top two supporters, but calling it the top supporter is very fair. And then Prime Catcher is like, I don't know, that's a card that to me doesn't like feel super good. I mean, well, no, it is very good, but it doesn't feel like super like fun. I mean, it's like you have one of it, but and then once you play the one, it's like now what, right? And then Counter Catcher is good, but only in some decks. And then of course Pokemon Catcher, that definitely does not feel good. I mean sometimes it does. It feels good if you flip heads, but it does not feel good if you flip tails. Meowstic though, you're not always going to draw into Relaxing Teaser, but yeah, Meowstic seems solid. Esper has 60 HP. That's like not. I mean, well, I mean there's the Goldilocks zone of exactly 70. So, because if you have 70 or less, you can be searchable by Buddy Buddy Poffin. And if you have more than, if you have 60 or less, then you'll get absolutely messed up by Dragapult. So, Dragapult is not like a card that is completely pushing decks out of the format, but it's certainly not great. And yeah, the other Esperance Stern also has 60, so not exactly ideal there. So Meowstic might not always be in play, specifically within that matchup, but I do feel like I don't know. I don't really exactly know how to play against Dragapult right now. Like, um, in terms of like how often you go after their bench. Like I don't know exactly how often like you need to target their bench with something like Meowstic. I mean, it is it's certainly nice to have in certain turns, but you're not going to be able to like Gust knock out all their bench Pokemon, or it's like two prizes really. That's like not something that'll happen. Maybe two with Rotom V and Pheasantip EX, I feel like. But yeah, like when do you take those prizes? You might not really need to take those prizes because you need to deal with the Dragapult EX that's staring you in the face, right? So that's something that's kind of you to decide on, but a lot of the time you're just gonna hit into the active because that's what you need to do. What decks would play Meowstic? I'm not exactly sure. Um, you probably don't want to like play your supporter to search for the item that is a Relaxing Teaser. That seems kind of silly because you could just play like boss. So I don't think this is like an Arven deck style card. I think it would be I don't know, maybe in like it's some stage one decks. Stage one decks aren't like good. Well, I don't know. There's like V-Star decks that are good, but they're weird. Like Lugia's weird, Regidrago's weird. So and they're not stage ones either. I mean, they're like stage ones, but they're not. But anyways, Meowstic, I love this card design. I'm really excited to play with these cards. I've said this about, I mean, I like the Pokemon DCD, right? I'm excited to play Pokemon cards. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all the good stuff. Hopefully I'll be feeling 100% soon, so my content can be up and back to its absolutely lovely level. But I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.